How's it going, everybody? How are you all doing? How's things? It's Monday and I spent the whole morning editing mixes from the last Saturday night's show that we did with Liberty Hell in the Porterhouse. It's a bit of a tedious task, to say the least. But we did an interesting enough recording because it was kind of a last minute thing. We didn't have time to kind of organize, have enough mic leads and all that sort of stuff. So we figured out what can we do to make the most out of the sound. And what we did, we took one line from the desk, which is just the front of the house sound. And now, before I tell you in detail more, let me just explain this. The desk, what we have is a guitar, electric banjo, drum kit, and then me and vocals. So what's going in the desk is a DI from the acoustic guitar amp, DI from the amp of the electric banjo, the vocal, and the Des has a drum module that he uses just for the kick drum in the Porterhouse. So that's all that's going to the desk. So that we're getting that. So we got another separate line from the drum module to get the separation of the kick drum if needed be. It turns out I used it very, very little, but the little bit of it that was there is very kind of, it seemed like once it got into the desk, it lost a little bit of the bottom and clarity of the kick, and when I could add a little bit of that from that separate track. So what we have, as I said, we had going in the Zoom was the line from desk, a line from the kick, the Oasis drum model with just the kick. Then we had my Octavias we had set up just kind of roundabout above the drum kit, maybe a little bit more towards the middle, but kind of run about above the drum kit, recording the overall drums and the kind of stage sound in the room. And it turned out really, really good because it was kind of mainly picking up the drums. Like the most clear sound was the drums, but it was also picking up the crowd, and it was picking up the live ambience of the vocals, which was a surprise to me, because when I listened to the vocals just from direct from the desk, obviously I didn't have any control because it comes as it's same one track has a guitar and a banjo and the bass drum and the vocals, and it sounded a little bit, it sounded exactly like, you know, very dry and whatever, but when it came through the room it got much more livelier. It sounded really much better. Now I'm just up, finally done. I was up last night editing vlog until about 4 o'clock in the morning until I got everything done, which is not a good way to start your week, but hey, it had to be done. Then I kind of had to sleep a little bit longer this morning, so I got up about 11 o'clock and I sat down straight away, even before breakfast, sat down and started editing the tracks. Took a small break in the middle of it just to make a quick breakfast. I was eating while I was working, which is again not a good thing to be doing, but hey, sometimes these things has to happen. And now it's 20 to 2, so 2 hours and 40 minutes took me to edit them all. As I said, the mix was pretty surprisingly good, which all credit goes to Des. Des does the live sound in the Porterhouse, and this job would have been a lot more difficult if the mix wasn't already pretty damn good. He gave me very, very clean signal, very even signal, but just those two overheads made it so much more livelier, and it's amazing how big a difference they made. And it also allowed me to do a stereo spread, because the Porterhouse system works actually as a mono. What it means is the left and right of the channel actually is, one is downstairs and one is upstairs. So I don't really have any stereo spread on it as such. So I just took a mono, one signal out of it. But because then I had the two overheads, I could spread them left and right, and it gave me stereo feel to the whole thing as well, and it worked out wonderfully. So if you're thinking of doing any live recording, there's a couple of tips for you there that you can definitely utilize. As I said, all I had was the Zoom R16, 2 Octavias, and just leads connected to the desk. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with all this stuff, so we'll see how much of it ends up being in your hands soon enough. But yeah, it was a really cool gig. It was very, very last minute. It was like literally we knew hours before that we're going to be doing it, but the guys pulled in very, very good show. I'm proud of the crew. It was a very different kind of atmosphere than the last one we did, and because the last one we did was just such an adrenaline fired gig. This time we didn't have time to get to that point, and being a very, very sunny day in Dublin, it wasn't as busy. Still, it was packed enough, and then something about the rehearsals as well. We've been working on the stuff, and we're becoming very, very familiar. Some of the stuff, some of them were still need to be worked on, and I think there's an element of we have to figure out how to keep the rawness while know how we're like really rehearsed as well. But the feedback was really, really good. The manager told us that since for the last gig it sounds much more tighter. You can really hear the rehearsals, and so that was great. It was great to hear. But now we're kind of more hungry to get it even much better than that. Like we want to really be in control of the show, 110%. So yes, there's definitely a lot more work to be done there, but it was a great next step. So delighted with it. I definitely will be showing you some of the stuff, some of the footage from the gig and everything. Also, I filmed the gig using 2 GoPros, one behind the drums facing the audience, so you got kind of sideways view because Des was kind of on sideways. You'll see it when it comes out. Makes more sense. I had one camera on the ground front of the stage facing towards me and Brian. I had one camera on one side of me facing me for the close-ups of the vocal shots, and then I had another GoPro on kind of my side of the stage further out, taking then the whole stage again as well. And the other camera I was using was the Lumix. This is my Lumix G2. I'm thinking, once again, I go back and forth with this camera because this is the difference between this and the Canon G7X. Canon G7X is just you point and shoot and you go and it delivers. This one you need to dig deep. And I think I need to look into this now and see if I can really make something good out of it. Because one good thing about this camera is, right, let me tell you this quickly. Sorry about this being, again, very talking kind of vlog, but sometimes I need to get this out of system. And it's an information that I spend a lot of time digging into, so maybe this is useful for some other people as well. There's a stupid law in EU, right? Where if your camera is able to film over a certain amount of time of video, it's classed as a video camera, not as a photo camera, and it's taxed differently. So most cameras set up time limit on how long you're allowed to record on it. The Canon G7X, it's somewhere just past 16 minutes and then it stops, which, especially like when I'm filming gigs, it's really annoying. That's why I always have to keep the Canon G7X close to me, so I film, and when it gets to that, I just start recording again. This baby, Lumix G2, has 29 minutes and 99 seconds recording time, which is nearly double the time. So I cannot ignore the fact that this camera is able to do it, and I don't think there's any other camera at the moment than the Lumix cameras that do that in the market. Unless you go into video cameras. Also, I have heard about firmware hack where you can actually remove that, and the Lumix G2 is the only camera I've heard that you can do it on. So I have to look into that. If you have heard about that hack, let me know. I want to know about it. I want to know how it's done. So I'm gonna have to have a look into if I can get a couple of different lenses for this camera that would be more, give me a little bit more clarity, a little bit more better in a low light. I know these are not great, the what do you call the micro, I think the 3/4, yeah, this micro, yeah. So it's basically, it's a mirrorless camera. It very much feels and acts like a DSLR, but it hasn't have the mirror mechanism, it doesn't have the noise, and it works. It's a little bit smaller. So it is handy. So I am really tempted to now actually see if I can make something more out of this camera, because the little I saw the footage on Saturday night, it looked really good. It looked really promising. As long as I had the lights on, the house lights on, it really did beef off the camera a lot, and I think there's going to be a lot of useful footage out of this camera as well. I would assume that the autofocus is not as quick as it is on Canon, and I doubt that the image stabilization is as good as it is on Canon, but let's see if I can improve on that, if I can find something usable out of it. I'm actually quite excited to go and find out more about it. The only other thing, if anybody has Lumix G2, or you're familiar with Lumix cameras in general, of that generation, you know that the manual for them is big and it's useless, and it's not really user friendly for somebody who just wants to get into nitty gritty and like doesn't want to read all about every little detail of it, just wants to get the main points. So if you know of any other alternative manual for this, or you find a website that has a really good information, like quick guides to all the main points of it, let me know. I'm intrigued to find out. So there you go. Today is supposed to be songwriting days, and I haven't got around to it. I probably won't get around to it because I have so much stuff to do, but I wanted to get this vlog quickly out. I wanted to talk about, I was so excited about the recording, live recording, and the filming, that I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about it. Hopefully you enjoyed that bit of it, and this is already turned into a very long vlog about all this informational stuff. So I think I'm going to leave today's vlog here, otherwise it's just going to be too long again. Listen guys, thank you very much for watching, and let's keep on going with this stuff, okay? Keep on creating. Talk to you soon. Stumble out of the door, behind my shades, hide from the world. It ain't easy to pretend that you're okay when you're out of your head. You try to find some coffee, sober up, then I'm on my way. A long road